a guy pops behind the tent and points his gun at me, and he shoots me once.
This evening, we're hearing from an Oregon man shot at the Gorge Amphitheater. He's from Eugene, and he's still in the hospital, as you saw, waiting on another surgery before he can return home. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. 2 people died when a gunman opened fire at a campground right next to the concert venue, with shots fired Saturday night during the Beyond Wonderland Music Festival. Evan Watson is in the newsroom with the update. Evan, how is this survivor doing?
Yeah, David, well, August Morningstar is recovering right now. He was one of the thousands of people attending the electronic dance music festival at the Gorge Amphitheater. He said he was leaving his tent at the campsite to make the 15-minute walk to the stages when he heard what he thought were fireworks. And then he heard people yelling they were going to call the cops. That's when he came face to face with the shooter. After Morningstar was shot in the shoulder, he dove behind a tent.
And then I ran, and he chased me and was shooting at me. And as he was shooting at me, there's bullets whizzing by me.
Morningstar says he has another surgery before he can return home to his 2 daughters in Eugene. One of his friends set up a GoFundMe to help pay for the medical bills. At last check, it's raised over $21,000. The shooter in this case has not been identified, and the names of the 2 people killed haven't been released. The North Central Washington Special Investigations Unit has taken over the investigation because a Grant County Sheriff's deputy shot the suspect. Live Nation, which manages the venue, has still not commented on what happened. David?
Yeah, 3 days on and still so many questions. Thank you, Evan. If you live in the Rose City, chances are you're familiar with often challenging delays when you call 911, or especially Portland's non-emergency line.
Well, listen to this. Wait time for non-emergency calls can sometimes be between 40 minutes and 2 hours. But starting Monday, the city of Portland will be testing an artificial intelligence answering service to help divert calls to where they need to go. Daisy Caballero got a preview of the new technology today. Daisy?
Yeah, David, Laurel, this new AI system will be just for non-emergency calls. To be clear, any emergency calls to 911 will still be answered by a real person.
In a few words, please tell me why you are calling or what you need to do.
Portland's Bureau of Emergency Management is getting ready to introduce AI technology to answer non-emergency calls starting Monday. Here's how it will work. You dial the non-emergency line in Portland and you'll be greeted by what sounds like an automated answering machine.
My vehicle was broken into.
This sounds like a theft of some sort. Is that correct?
Yes.
That right there is the AI talking. It'll ask about your issue, like a car break-in, for example. Then you'll be presented with a series of yes or no questions, followed by other questions like,
to get you to the right resource, I need to know the location where this happened.
From there, the system will take in all your information and send you a text with links to submit a police report if it sees fit.
We've been working on it for certainly over a year, and it has taken the vendor some time to really create the platform. They took an entire month's worth of non-emergency call answering and listened to each and every call so they could get a sense of the types of calls that we process through our non-emergency line.
Dispatchers are currently answering both 911 and non-emergency calls. Emergency calls, of course, take priority. But those dialing the non-emergency line can be on hold anywhere between 40 minutes to 2 hours.
It's frustrating for the caller. It's also frustrating for our call takers because they literally will bounce from 911 call to 911 call. And when 911 is completely handled, then the non-emergency lines start appearing for our call takers.
So they're trying to change those wait times with this new system.
And BOEC will be turning the technology on in 2-hour test phases starting Monday. That way they can collect data and check to see if any changes need to be made. And if everything runs smoothly these next few weeks, they will eventually have the new technology take over answering all non-emergency calls. David, Laurel?
It sounds encouraging. Thank you, Daisy. On day 2 of the Providence nurses strike, the neonatal intensive care unit has reopened at Providence Portland Medical Center, and labor and delivery is again available at Providence Seaside. Providence has brought in replacement nurses, while nearly 2,000 nurses from Providence Portland, Providence Seaside, and Providence Home Health and Hospice are on strike. They're demanding higher wages and better health care, including mental health care, and also want more paid time off and sick leave. Providence says it won't resume negotiations with the nurses union until after this week's strike is over on Friday.
Well, after a lot of back and forth, tomorrow is the day Legacy plans to reopen its Mount Hood Medical Birthing Center. You might remember Legacy shut down the Gresham Center in March without getting state approval. At the time, administrators blamed staffing challenges and said not enough babies were being born there to keep the center open. The community pushed back, and after several months and a couple of different reopening dates, Legacy says as of Wednesday, the center will now be staffed around the clock.
And now to the latest on the city's response to Portland's homeless crisis. Next month, the first city-sanctioned mass encampment for people who are homeless is set to open in Southeast Portland. It adds another option for shelter, as a citywide daytime ban on camping also goes into effect next month. Let's bring in Blair Best. Blair, the surrounding neighborhoods have been preparing for this for months now.
In what's called the Clinton Triangle in Southeast Portland. Now, for the past 2 months, surrounding neighborhood groups have been meeting with the city to create a good neighbor agreement. It'll be finalized once the site opens in early July. It's set between train tracks and Powell Boulevard and will be Portland's first temporary alternative shelter site, housing up to 150 homeless people. Now, many neighbors have concerns with the site, including the potential for vandalism, crime, and even the well-being of the homeless people who will be staying there.
We are really aware that we're on the tip of the spear with this. We are going to be setting a precedent for how these agreements are put together.
Now, that was the chair of the Brooklyn Action Corps, a neighborhood association. He hopes to set an example for future sites and how they will fit into the surrounding neighborhoods, since the mayor is hoping to open 5 more. Now, the mayor's office says they're close to finalizing the locations for the next 2 sites. It's not clear yet where they are and what the communication has been like with the neighborhood associations there. Laurel, David.
Yeah, we know you're going to be tracking it, Blair, and asking the tough questions. Appreciate it. Let's take you off Canada's Atlantic coast there. There is still no sign of a submersible belonging to a Washington company that stopped communicating on Sunday while descending to view the wreckage of the Titanic. It is a remote area some 900 miles off the coast of Cape Cod, 430 miles south of Newfoundland. The Coast Guard, the Navy, the Air Force, they are all now involved. And as Drew Andre from our sister station in Seattle reports, they are trying to save the lives of 5 people on board with oxygen and time running out.
There is a total of 5 people on this submersible. The company's CEO, Stockton Rush, is believed to be piloting the trip. UK billionaire businessman Hamish Harding is on board. Harding said he was on the mission with French mariner Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and we know a Pakistani businessman and his son are also on the trip. The Coast Guard says the depths and remote nature of this trip is what makes this recovery mission so challenging. This is Colin Taylor. He was on an Ocean Gate mission last year. He says as you make the descent down several hundred feet, you lose GPS and almost all ability to communicate, just sonar messaging with the ship above.
The ship on the surface is trying to locate you, triangulating various signals that it's getting to try and figure out where you are, but it's very, very difficult to do that at the depths that you're at. So the fact that communications are difficult is not a surprise here. The fact that they lost all communications on the way down, that's not a good sign.
A ticket aboard costs $250,000 to be one of the few to see the wreckage of the Titanic and explore the depths of the seas. All contact was lost Sunday, meaning as of today, there's less than 2 days of oxygen that likely remains.
And to put things in perspective of how deep the sub could be, the Titanic wreck is nearly 13,000 feet underwater. So think about 1,300 feet more than Mount Hood stands tall. It's a long way down. Some describe the pitch black and freezing cold, much like an astronaut going into space. The Coast Guard says they have an update. They estimate the sub has less than 40 hours of oxygen left. Godspeed.